Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes, I am. To this day.
Nino Brown Boxing, I'm back in the building. Shout out to the LDBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Man, so I've been thinking about this whole Jermell Charlo, Jason Rosario fight and the aftermath. Like, what does that mean for boxing? What does that mean for Jermell Charlo? And I previously said in another video that if Jermell Charlo is able to knock out Jason Rosario in devastating fashion, I'll have him number 2 on my pound for pound list. So after watching the fight, I came to the conclusion that my previous thoughts on Jermell Charlo's spot for the pound for pound list, I don't think it's accurate. I don't think he's number 2 on the pound for pound list. After taking a step back and letting this fight marinate, I've come to the conclusion that Jermell Charlo is number 1 on the pound for pound list. Like, I've taken a look at Ring Magazine's pound for pound list, and I've just looked at different platforms and who they have ranked in the top of the pound for pound list, and I had to look at it like this. Jermell Charlo in the entire 154 pound division, these guys aren't divas. All of these guys have held titles in that division, excluding the WBO title holder. They've gone through a gauntlet. They face multiple tough competition in multiple back-to-back fights. Guys have taken losses and they've bounced back. And Jermell Charlo, he came through and he's unified more belts than any of the current guys that have been champion at 154, even my man Jared Hurd. So when I consider that fact, when I consider all of the diva bullshit as it's not a factor in 154, Jermell Charlo has no failed drug tests. Jermell Charlo has a stacked resume. And when I consider all of those different things, it only makes sense to put this man at number 1 on the list. So, with that being said, it only makes sense. At first I was going to wait for Errol Spence and his fight with Danny Garcia, but even that's not enough. Errol Spence, even if Errol Spence stopped Danny Garcia within the first 3 rounds, for me, that's not enough to put Errol Spence number 1 on my pound for pound list, for the simple fact Danny Garcia hasn't won any significant fights at 147. Just think about it like this. Jason Rosario, he beat Julian J. Rock Williams. Julian J. Rock Williams beat Jared Hurd. Jared Hurd beat Austin Trout, Araceli Lara, and Tony Harrison. And all of those belts changing hands over that extended period of time. Guess who came out the last man standing, even though he took an L? Jermell Charlo. So when I factor in all of the bullshit that guys like Canelo have when it comes to all of the ducking and strategic movement and all of the failed drug tests, and they have guys like on there that's like overhyped just because there's some foreigner like Inouye. When you have people on the list, some people still keep Triple G. Some people will put Manny Pacquiao up there as well. Whatever the case may be, I've come to the conclusion the guy that has given the fans what they said they wanted. The fans want the best to fight the best. The fans want unification. So it only makes sense to have Jermell Charlo as the number 1 guy on my pound for pound list. I don't think there's any other way to dispute it. He's stopping guys, he's giving us exciting but also competitive fights. So there it is. That's my take on the whole situation. I understand when it comes to 154, it's still a gauntlet of competition left. It's still some great fights when it comes to Jermell Charlo. The only thing that I'm concerned when it comes to Jermell Charlo is the idea of moving up. I don't know if Jermell has any difficulties making weight. I know Jermall did. I understand that Jermall is the bigger twin. But at the same time, as you get older, you know, you tend to pack on more weight. So I'm just curious to see how long Jermell Charlo can stay at 154. If he has an extended amount of time at 154, if he can spend the rest of his career down there, that'll be great for him. I feel like at this point in time, he can reign supreme. Guys like Errol Spence, WBC putting him as the mandatory. Look, after seeing Errol Spence's last fight with Terrell Goucher, Erickson Lubin, he's not ready. We all know how the IBF is now when it comes to their mandatories. I'm about to go back and look at the rankings to see who the IBF mandatory is, because that's something you always have to take into consideration. But we'll see how everything plays out. That's just my take on it. Jermell Charlo is the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world. And at this point, nobody can convince me otherwise. I mean, even now I'm thinking about it, even the Lomachenko fight. Lomachenko, people want to put him up there. Lomachenko, he never avenged his loss. Jermell Charlo did. So any of these guys, this number 1 through 5, number 6 through 10, on a pound-for-pound list, and their name is not Jermell Charlo, I can find something about Jermell Charlo that's better than what these guys have. It's Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to the LWBC, and I'm out.